Hello viewers, in this program I will discuss about physical properties of minerals. In my previous program I have discussed about the physical properties which are solely based on light, but in this program I will discuss about the physical properties of minerals which are based on state of aggregation. Under this state of aggregation, there are different categories. What are those categories? First, form, habit, cleavage, striations, fracture, hardness and tenacity. These are the important properties of a mineral which I will discuss in this program. Characteristics depending upon state of aggregation. Out of this, first most important is form, second habit, third cleavage, fourth striations, fifth fracture, sixth hardness and seventh tenacity. So, there are 7 important characteristics which depend upon the state of aggregation. I will take up all these state of aggregation one by one. First, I will discuss about the form. What is form? Whatever the mineral is crystallized or non-crystallized, there may be different types of forms. What are those forms? Crystallized, crystalline, cryptocrystalline or amorphous. What is crystallized? You have very well developed crystals. Last category is amorphous. Amorphous means disordered structure. There is no crystal developed in the material or substance which is called amorphous. In amorphous substances, the structure is disordered. Disordered atomic structure means all the cations, anions, they are not organized, but in crystallized form, first crystallized, very well crystallized form, all the cations and anions, they are arranged in a regular manner and they display a lattice structures. So, crystallized is one extremity, amorphous is another extremity. Between these two extremities, there are crystalline and cryptocrystalline minerals. What is crystallized? Mineral with well developed crystal faces. Best example is rhombohedral calcite. Calcite crystal having very well developed faces, all the faces are developed and their shape is rhombohedral. Crystalline material or mineral, mineral development is not perfect, mineral aggregate is imperfect, partly developed, partly non-developed. In case of cryptocrystalline minerals, poorly developed crystal faces of minerals are present. And lastly, amorphous, when crystalline nature is completely absent, that is the disordered structure. The best example is obsidian glass. Obsidian is a rock where anions and cations present in the rock, they are not arranged in a regular manner. So, we call it as amorphous. I am showing an example of amorphous material. Here is the picture of a rock called obsidian, which is completely amorphous. Amorphous, that means no crystal have been developed. There is no crystal, that means no cations and anions, they are arranged in a regular manner. The well crystallized minerals in different crystal systems, based on crystal system we can categorize them, and there are certain examples I am citing one by one. First I will discuss cubic system. They are, best example is galena, garnet, pyrite, halite, magnetite, fluorite, leucite. Mineral belonging to tetragonal system includes rutile, cassiterite, zircon. Minerals belonging to hexagonal system, there are 2 minerals, apatite and beryl. Next one is trigonal system. Calcite and quartz is the best example. Orthorhombic system, sulfur, barite, olivine, topaz, they crystallize in orthorhombic system. Gypsum, agate, hornblende, orthoclase, they crystallize in monoclinic system. And lastly, axenite and rhodonite, these are the two important minerals, they crystallize in triclinic system. So, depending upon the crystal systems, we have classified minerals into different categories. Out of that, there are 7 categories, and I have discussed about the examples of minerals which crystallize in 7 crystal systems. Now, I will discuss about another important property which is called habit. What is habit? Development of individual crystal and aggregate tend to produce a characteristic shape and patterns. They are developed in totality, and this development of an individual crystal, it gives you an appearance which we discuss under the category of habit, or habit can be individual or habit of a individual mineral or a group of crystals. When it is of a group of crystals, we call it as aggregate. When we talk about habit of an individual mineral, we are dealing with a individual crystal, but when we talk about the habit of group of crystals, we call it as aggregates, group of crystals. Now, mineral habit and individual crystals. Here I am discussing habit of individual crystals which are of several types. First, I will talk about acicular. Acicular means needle like, they look like needle. Fine needle like crystals, example is natrolite. Natrolite is a variety of geolite which develops a crystal like a needle. We call it as acicular habit. Bladed habit, next is bladed habit. Bladed habit represents resembling a knife blade. The best example of such kind of habit developed in kyanite. Kyanite is a mineral which shows bladed habit. Fibrous habit, there are fibers which are developed in the minerals. The fibrous consisting of hair or thread like structure. When a mineral having hair or thread like structure, we call it as fibrous habit. When a mineral consisting of thin plate or lamellae, we call it as foliated. Example is mica. Foliation means plates or lamellae can be broken up or they can be parted easily along a regular plane. So, this habit is called foliated. Prismatic habit, elongated crystals. When crystals are elongated like a prism in one direction, best example is pyroxene and amphiboles, they have a prismatic, long prismatic faces, they are developed here. Then platy habit, crystals flattened in one direction only one direction, the other direction crystals are not flattened, we call it as platy habit. Example is selenite. Then reticulated, reticulated means lobes like or a very mammillated crystals, they are developed. Crystals developed in a cross mesh pattern, inclusion of rutile in quartz, they are called reticulated. And the reticulated inclusion of rutile in quartz is also very common in the nature. Then lastly, we talk about the tabular habit. Tabular habit means broad and flat crystals of feldspar. Feldspar is the most common mineral which display tabular habit, that means flat crystals are developed. That means only one direction is very well developed, other two dimensions are least developed, or we can say in terms of crystallographic terminology, these crystals are developed along only one axis. They are poorly developed or less developed along A and B axis. Now, mineral habit of aggregate crystals. What is that? Habit and crystal aggregates. Under this category, there are various types of habit: amygdaloidal habit, botryoidal habit, columnar habit, concretionary, nodular, dendritic or granular habit. Amygdaloidal means almond shaped aggregate of zeolite in basalt cavities. The cavities are pre-existing, and in these pre-existing cavities the secondary minerals like zeolite, they crystallize, they occupy the shape of the pre-existing cavities. So, such type of habit is called amygdaloidal habit. Botryoidal means bunch of grapes, similar to the bunch of grapes, they are in collections, and we can cite an example of azurite and chalcedony. They have different lobes, and lobes they are in aggregate. They are not a single lobe, but they are cluster of lobes and clustered together at one place. So, this habit is called botryoidal habit. Columnar habit means you have a straight column like crystals clubbed together, and they are in the form of aggregate making slender columns. Examples are calcite forming stalactitic and stalagmatic columns, barrel straight columns, and these column size it varies from few centimeter to few meters or tens of meters in size. Tourmaline also develops in the form of a columnar habit. Then next important habit is concretionary or nodular habit. Small concretions, small size concretional rounded habit, and these rounded aggregates they are at one place, they are clubbed together, spheroidal, ellipsoidal or irregular masses, they are clubbed together. Example is flint. Then dendritic habit. Dendritic means branching like deciduous trees or river system. Granular, even size or coarse and fine grained aggregates. Examples are chromite and olivine. Now, I will discuss about mineral habit of aggregate crystals: mammillated, oolitic, pisolitic, reniform, stellate and wiry. These are the important category of mineral habit of aggregate crystals, not of a single crystal, but of an aggregate crystals mutually intersecting spheroidal surfaces. Example is malachite. I have also cited example of malachite, but the malachite occurs in mammillated habit, or when it is present in aggregates, lot of rounded spheroidal surface of granules, they are clubbed together. In case of oolitic habit consisting of small spheroidals or ellipsoids, they look like a fish egg. These fish eggs they are clubbed together at one place and form an aggregate. This habit is called oolitic habit. Example is hematite. Hematite is iron ore. Now, pisolitic. What is the difference between oolite and pisolite? Pisolite is also similar to oolite, but there is a difference in the size. Size difference is the only difference. Otherwise, pisolite and oolite they look more or less similar. What is pisolite? Pisolite is also spheroidal, but larger in size. Example is bauxite. Reniform. Reniform means kidney shape, just like a kidney. Hematite, an ore of iron which occurs in the form of a reniform habit. Reniform habit means there you have small lobes, they are aggregated to or they are clubbed together at one place. Then stellate habit or fibrous habit arranged in radiating form, producing star like shape. Example is wavellite. And lastly, I will talk about the wiry habit like twisted wire. example is native copper and silver. These are the two minerals which occur in nature in the form of a wiry habit. So, habit and crystal aggregates we can discuss in terms of mammillated, oolitic, pisolitic, reniform, stellate and wiry habit. I will show you these habit or aggregate of minerals with the help of diagrams. First you can see massive. This is picture on my left hand side top of the figure, you can see a mineral which is massive and granular. The second one shows lamellar or foliated habit. You can see the crystals can be or the grains can be separated just like a book. You can separate different layers by layers. Then bladed habit, and the last right hand side of the corner at the top you have bladed habit just like a blade. The example is kyanite. Kyanite crystals are bladed, they can be separated out along the blades, and fibrous habit is shown here in this picture here, fibrous habit, and acicular habit. This is acicular just like a needle. You can see the crystals of a mineral, they look like a needle. This needle, the crystals are developed along only C axis. C axis is elongate, but other two axes A and B are compressed here. See here in this diagram we have radiating habit. These are the globules, these rounded globules, and some of the rounded globules are showing radiating just like this one where you can see the radiating habit also. Now, I will show you some common mineral habits and occurrences. I was talking about the dendritic habit. This is a dendritic habit. You can compare this habit of a mineral or appearance of this mineral with a leaf, plant leaf, or a drainage like structure is there. The example here is dendritic habit. Another one example here is hornblende, then another example is coliform texture. Coliform, they are crystallized out of colloidal solutions and they develop a botryoidal habit. Coliform habit is also called as botryoidal. These are the lobes, you can see these are the lobes, they are developed here, these are the lobes, and some of the lobes they are merged together while clubbing. Some of the lobes are compressed together and form an aggregate here. In this case here you see this is a band of chalcedony. This outer band is chalcedony and you have large crystals developed in this cavity. These are the crystals and these crystals are pointing towards the center, and in the center you have a open space. This is an example of a geode. Geode is a naturally occurring or secondary mineral formed in the cavities of a basic igneous rock like basalt here, and this is an example of quartz and hematite here. These two onites, they are clubbed together here with the help of a cementing material. So, these are some of the examples or some of the pictures which I am trying to show you the habit of the mineral. The muscovite, lamellar and foliated muscovite. This is a picture of a muscovite which shows foliation. Along these foliations mineral can be broken up easily and you get a lamellae of a small crystal also. So, in this case also only one axis is developed or the other two axes are compressed. Here is the example of acicular habit, needle like crystals or radiating crystals. Radiating crystals from the center, they are developed here outwardly, and this habit is called acicular or radiating habit. What I was discussing about the geode, this is a geode which occurs in basaltic lava flow terrain. You see this is some of the altered basaltic rock here, and in basaltic rock there are cavities or open spaces, and these open spaces are often filled with secondary minerals. These secondary minerals developed from the colloidal solutions, and they show a very good development of crystals. Such kind of development and the whole aggregate is called a geode. Another example of geode is shown here, where you can find an open space, and in this space a microcrystalline quartz is developed. This is a microcrystalline quartz developed here. Here you have chalcedony or agate is developed here on the marginal areas of the geode. Viewers, in this program I have discussed physical properties of minerals based on state of aggregation, which includes form and habit. Thank you very much.